What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and technically doing a Generaider deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck just got some amazing support out of Rage of the Abyss, taking this deck to a whole new level. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell nursing gunpowder notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Again, your name, description, every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Har. Har is definitely a 2-of in the build and just an awesome boss monster overall. And all of your Generaider monsters share a common effect that you can only control one of each Generaider monster. This card is ability once per turn if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase. Quick effect, you can make your opponent send a monster from their hand or field to the graveyard, their choice, which is absolutely insane to instantly get rid of a card. This card also is a walking negate, which is absolutely crazy, and this card is just such a powerful boss monster in this deck. We then play a single copy of Mardell. Mardell is really good in this build as a 1-of because if this card is summoned to your side of the field, you get to add a Generaider or a plant monster from your deck to your hand, which is awesome to instantly add the exact Generaider that you need. We then play a single copy of Utgard. Utgard is great because it helps you spawn and remove cards off the field, because quick effect, you can actually tribute 2 Generaider monsters and or rock monsters and then target 1 card on the field and banish it. We then play a single copy of Needhog. Needhog is great in the deck and one of my favorite Generaider cards in the entire build, as this card actually blocks special summons, which is such a cool effect. We then play a single copy of Hela. Hela is great in the build as well because this card just helps you bring back your Generators from the graveyard, as this card has a really cool ability to quick effect tribute a Generaider monster or a zombie monster and then target a Generaider monster or a zombie monster in your graveyard with a different name than the tributed monster had on the field and special summon that monster in defense position, helping you get your Generaider monsters back on your side of the field. Now the cool thing about all of your different Generaider monsters is even though they do require tributes to activate their effects, the Generaider tokens make it super easy to activate any of their effects because the Generaider tokens come back basically every turn. We then play 3 copies of Vala. Vala is one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck. This card is definitely a 3-up. This card is a crazy powerful ability. If this card's in your hand or your graveyard, you can actually send one other Generaider card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And if this card is special summoned, you can special summon a Generaider monster from your hand or your graveyard, except a copy of Vala, instantly getting one of your Generaider bosses on your side of the field, so you can go for a rank 9 play. We then play 2 copies of QQ. QQ is amazing in this build and an awesome card that we just got out of Rage of the Abyss. This card takes the deck to a whole new level. This card is amazing because it has the effect that if this card's in your hand or your graveyard, you can reveal a level 9 monster in your hand and special summon both this card and the revealed monster in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon for the extract for the rest of the turn except for rank 9 or higher XZ monsters. And also an XZ monster that used this card as a material gains 900 attack and defense points, which is insane to give your monsters even more of a boost because they're already massive to help you go in for game. This card is insane and it's kind of like 2 extra copies of Vala in the deck, and this card is so powerful in the build. We then play a single copy of Trias. Trias is really good to work with their copy of Diviner because it helps it bring itself back to your side of the field, which is insane. And this card is basically just an additional level 9 in the deck that we can send to the graveyard off our copy of Diviner. We then play 3 copies of Lopter. Lopter is great in the deck as a 3-of and definitely a 3-of in this build. This card is able to you can only control 1 copy of Lopter, and all Generaider monsters you control gain 1,000 attack and defense during your opponent's turn only. And during the main phase, quick effect, you can actually tribute a Generaider monster to special summon a level 9 Generaider monster with a different name from your deck, which is great to instantly get the exact Generaider you want on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Diviner. Diviner is definitely a 3-of in the build as well. This card and Lopter are your best normal summons in the entire deck, and this card is ability if it's normal or special summon, you can actually send a fairy monster from your deck or X deck to the graveyard, and if you do, increase this card's level by that monster's level until the end of the turn, which is great to help you send your copy of Trias to the graveyard, so you can then tribute your copy of Diviner and summon out your copy of Trias. And this card also has the ability, if it is tributed, you can special summon a level 2 or lower fairy monster from your hand or deck except a copy of this card, which is an awesome ability, is to have a really spicy tech card you can actually use with this card, which is actually going to be 3 copies of Herald of the Orange Light. Herald of Orange Light is great to be able to work with your copy of Diviner because you can instantly bring it out from the deck with your copy of Diviner, plus this card is a hand trap, which is insane, and it's a tuner, and since we are playing a level 9 deck, I have a really spicy tech boss monster you can actually summon when you summon off your copy of your Trias plus your copy of Herald of Orange Light using a single copy of Diviner. But this card is great because it kind of works like a hand trap, and it kind of works like Call by the Grave for the deck. But we have so many different fairies in this deck, it's very easy to use because it has the ability when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can send this card and one of the fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard to negate the activation if you destroy it, which works really well with their copy of Vala because Vala doesn't care if she's in the graveyard or in your hand, so basically you can get it for free by just using a copy of Vala with your copy of your Orange Light. We then also play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good as a 1-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent's hand traps. We're going in for all of our plays. We're then playing a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is amazing in the deck as a 1-of to be able to use to get our copy of Boss Stage. We then play a single copy of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is great in this deck as a 1-of to help us dig into the deck for the exact card that we need. We then play a single copy of Triple Tactics Talent. Triple Tactics Talent is amazing in this build as 1-of to basically just use this card to either draw 2 cards, take control of an opponent's monster, or look at your opponent's hand and choose a card from it and shuffle it back into the deck. We can also play 2 copies of Thrust. Thrust is really good as a 2-of in the build to grab the exact card you need, like a copy of Terraforming, to basically just get to your copy of Boss Stage just in case your opponent hand traps you. We then play 3 copies of Boss Stage. Boss Stage is definitely a 3-of in the build and an absolutely broken field spell. This card is ability once per turn. If a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, you can special summon a Generator monster from the deck in defense position, and if you special summon a Generator monster during your opponent's turn, you can special summon as many Generator tokens that are fairy, light, level 4, 1500 attack, 1500 defense as possible in attack position, but destroy them during the end phase, even if the card leaves the field, which is insane to be able to instantly special summon as many Generator tokens as possible to your side of the field, so you can basically just use them as tributes to be able to use your Generator monsters effects, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of World Legacy Monstrosity. This card is a monstrosity of a card. This card is really good in the deck. It lets you either activate one of these 2 effects to special summon a level 9 monster from your hand, or target a level 9 monster you control and special summon from your deck 2 level 9 monsters, each with the different original types and attributes from the targeted monster in different names as each other, but these 2 monsters can attack and destroy them during the end phase, but it doesn't negate their effects, which is broken. This card is amazing to instantly get 2 level 9s on your side of the field, and you only ever want to activate it for that effect, but it's amazing in this build when you see this card, because when you see it, you're usually going to instantly win, because you can activate this, get you 2 more monsters on your side of the field, and just go in for game. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Boss Fight. Boss Fight is great because you can instantly set this card to your side of the field with your copy of Thrust to help you get to your copy of your Boss Stage. This card is able to activate a copy of a Generator field spell directly from your deck or graveyard, then your opponent draws a card which will make your copy of Boss Stage go off, which is amazing. You only need a single copy of this card because it's easy to get to with your copy of Thrust, but that's the reason we play it, is because of Thrust. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is great in the deck as a 3-of just to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is a great hand trap overall and just works really well in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. But before we get into the extra deck, guys, make sure that when you are playing generators that you do have quite a few tokens that you want to use. You don't have to use generator tokens for this deck, but if you can get them, they did make generator tokens that are absolutely phenomenal and they're really cool for this build. So you can get your hold of some generator tokens, definitely do so because they're amazing. But you can use any tokens that you want. So let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Leviathan, Generator, Boss of Shadows. This card is an amazing 2-of in the build and helps you just deal with cards on your opponent's side of the field. Monsters your opponent control lose 1,000 attack and defense points, and once per turn you can tribute this XZ summon card to special summon a non-variant Generator XZ monster from your extra deck, then attach cards from the field and or graveyard to the special summon monster up to the number of materials this card had, meaning you're usually just going to attach 2 cards to your copy of Jormungandr when you summon out Jormungandr to your side of the field using your copy of Leviathan, but you usually want to end on a copy of Leviathan so you can basically gobble up cards all of your opponent's side of the field and put them under Jormungandr. We then play 2 copies of Jormungandr. Jormungandr is amazing in this deck as a 2-of because this card is absolutely crazy to summon to your side of the field. It gains 1,000 attack and defense times the number of materials it has, and quick effect, you can detach a material from this card and each player draws a card. Then each player that drew a card attaches a card from their hand or field to this card, which is insane because this card just keeps getting larger and larger, which is amazing. We then play 2 copies of Enter Blafnir. Blafnir is insane in this deck. You can actually loop your opponent with this card to be able to get rid of 2 cards out of their hand, and it's so easy to do because once per turn you can detach a material from this card and then activate one of these effects to either banish a card from your opponent's controls, banish a random card from your opponent's hand, which is the effect we usually use, banish a card in your opponent's graveyard, or banish the top card of your opponent's deck face up, which we're always using the effect to be able to get rid of a card out of our opponent's hand, because if we go first, you end up summoning 2 of these to your side of the field, especially now that we have QQ, to be able to basically just loop your opponent and get rid of a bunch of cards out of their hand. We then play a single copy of Ruby Sapphirus. Ruby Sapphirus is really cool in this deck as a 1-of because this card actually gains effects depending on the type of cards it has attached to it. This card's ability, if this face-up card would be destroyed, you can detach a material from this card instead, and it gains the following effects based on the attributes attached to this card. If it has a fire monster, which we have QQ and Vala for that, it has the ability that when this card declares an attack on a monster with higher attack, you can actually make this card's attack become double its current attack until the end of the damage step, which is insane. This card is going to become absolutely massive and swing in. If it has a water monster, which is our copy of Needhog, it has the ability that once during the opponent's turn, quick effect, you can actually target 1 card that you control this turn, negate that card effects activated by your opponent that targets that card, which is a great effect to help you protect your copy of Boss Stage. We then play a single copy of Aggregator. Aggregator is great in the deck as a 1-of. This card is XZ summon. You can send a card from your extra deck to the graveyard, which can send your copy of Elder Empty Nest to the graveyard so you can pop a card on the field. And this card also has a really cool ability that you can target any number or target monsters in your graveyard up to the number of materials this card has, and then detach material in this card equal to the number of those targets in the graveyard. And if you do attach those targets to this card as a material, which is a great ability to basically swap the materials on this card so you can detach materials later, or when it touches the graveyard, you can make effects go off like Elder Empty Nest. We have a single copy of Earth Slicer. Earth Slicer is great in the deck as a 1-of just to help you pop cards on the field, as this card has the ability you can detach any number of materials from this card and then target that many cards on the field and destroy them. We have a single copy of Heart Earth Dragon. Heart Earth Dragon is just too cool not to play in this deck. It's very difficult for your opponent to deal with once you summon it to your side of the field, but it's a really cool card overall in this deck. We then play a single copy of Utopic Future and a single copy of Draco Future. These cards are very easy to summon to your side of the field. You just have to have 2 monsters that aren't number monsters to be able to make your copy of F-Zero and then Utopic Draco Future, giving you a walking negate on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is amazing in this build as a 1-of because this card just helps you board wipe the field, and it's insane in this deck, especially the amount of XZs that we play. We then play a single copy of Psychic In Punisher. Punisher. Sidekick Punisher is insane because you can just normal summon your copy of Diviner, send Trias, Trias will tribute your copy of Diviner to summon itself back, Diviner will go off and summon a copy of Orange Light, Orange Light's a 2-tuner, your copy of your Trias is level 9, so off a single copy of Diviner you can actually make this card, which is insane, and it'll help you go in for game, because while your life points are less than or equal to your opponents, this synchro card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, and quick effect you can pay 1,000, target a monster your opponent controls and a card that you control, and then banish them. And also this card during the battle phase, you can make this card gain attack equal difference in your life points and your opponent's life points, which is insane. But this card is so powerful in the deck as a 1-of to summon off your copy of Diviner. We then finally play a single copy of Elder Entity-Nist. Elder Entity-Nist is great in this deck as a 1-of to help you pop cards on the field, because you can send it to the graveyard off your copy of Aggregator, or you can send it to the graveyard off the effect of Diviner. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Generaider before, you definitely should give this deck a try, because it's so fun to be able to play. It's insanely powerful, and it's just an absolutely broken deck to be able to play with how powerful the support we've gotten recently for this particular deck. But make sure you guys, if you don't have tokens, that you get some tokens to be able to play this deck. Some really cool ones. I absolutely love playing the Generaider tokens because they just look amazing. So that's going to be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.